Hey guys, it's Zach from the Concon channel, and in this video I'm going to explain precisely how to get your Bourgage plot from level 1 to 3. Now, Bourgage plots are these buildings right here that keep your citizens warm during the winter and have a roof over their head to live in when they need to. Bourgage plots is one of the first things that you're going to be able to build in Manor Lords. Now, in order to build it, you want to come to construction and you're going to go to residential, and then you'll see to the far left it says Bourgage plot. Now, the first 2 points that you create are the front of the Bourgage plot, so where the house will be facing, as you can see indicated by the bold line. So the second points are going to be the back end of the house, or the length of the house. As you can see, when I build this Bourgage plot, it shows a house with a plus sign, and a house with a hammer underneath. Now, the house is where the main residents will stay, and the house with a plus sign means that another family can live in this area. So therefore, this holds 2 residents. The back over here with the house and the hammer indicates a backyard extension. Now, backyard extensions are very important in this game, as it provides you with goods and other assets to your village essentially. Now, if you create a small Bourgage plot like this, you'll see that it only has one house symbol and a backyard extension. Well, this one doesn't have a backyard extension, but I recommend never building a house with solely just being the house, as it does not provide much use or value to your village. What you always want to do is, when you create a Bourgage plot, you want to create it big enough so that either there is 2 houses like that with 2 backyard extensions, or like this with a extra residential outhouse. Now, if you do perhaps do this, you can always press the minus sign to make it into a house and an outhouse with a backyard extension, and if you press the plus, it makes it into 2 different houses with their own separate backyards. Now, I recommend always building it with a outhouse extension and a backyard extension. It uses less space and provides more productivity for your backyard extension, and I'll explain what I mean by that. So when it comes to building a house, let's say I want to build my house right over here. Let's go ahead and build the house, and I want it to be just this long with my backyard extension. So now that I've built the Bourgage plot, as you can see, there is the main house and then the outhouse. Obviously it looks like no one can really live there, but that is supposed to be the outhouse, and then the backyard extension. As you see, there's nothing there. Now when you click on the house, it'll say that you can extend your living space to double the family, and this is where that outhouse extension comes into play. So if you do that, you'll have to then build again on top of the Bourgage plot, and it will add an extra house to the side. Or you can upgrade to level 2 Bourgage plots, which allows you to get 1 regional wealth per family per month. Now, if we just look at construct a backyard extension, this is where it's very important. As you can see, there's a vegetable garden, a chicken coop, goat shed, and apple orchards we can create for the Bourgage plot level 1. Now, I'd say that depending on the length of your Bourgage plot, is important that if you decide to do a vegetable garden or an apple orchard, then you need to have a long backyard extension, as the longer the backyard extension, the bigger the yield of apples and vegetables. Whereas if you do it for a chicken coop or a goat farm on your backyard extension, it doesn't really matter how big the backyard extension is, so keep that in mind. So we're going to go ahead and do a vegetable garden. So now once that is created, you'll see that it just turns into a garden. Now obviously no one's going to occupy this house just yet, as it takes time for people to occupy houses, but we can go ahead and then upgrade to level 2. Now level 2 Bourgage plots requires water access, a church level, fuel store supply, food store supply, and clothing store supply. Water access is easy. In order to get water access, all you need to do is go to construction, then go to residential, and go to well. Now you'll see when you have the well out, there'll be a blue little path. This is where the water is rich, so you want to place the well on top of the water right over here. Now I already have well, so I'm not going to place it down there. So after you've created the well, that should be your water access completed for the requirements for your upgrade. Then you'll need a church. In order to build a church, you need to go to construction, then you need to go to residential, and then you'll see it'll say wooden church. Now it requires 5 timber, 20 planks, and 10 rocks, which is pretty simple to get. So once you have a church, you can go ahead and place it down. Here's my church. I have a few placed around, but here's one of them. So there, once you build the church, it won't look like this because this is my upgraded church, but once you have it, then you can go ahead and place it down. Once that's done, you'll have your church level all it needs to be is just level 1 for this initial burgage plot. And then fuel store supply, what you need to do is make a woodcutter's lodge. What this does is it destroys trees in order to make firewood. Now you'll obviously have to assign families to work the woodcutter's lodge, and once you assign the families, they'll automatically go to a marketplace. Now obviously you need to make a marketplace first for them to do that, so what you need to do is go residential, you'll see marketplace, and then just build a marketplace. I recommend not building it too big and not building it too small, as the first marketplace that you build is where all the markets will first be started. So as you can see, I started my first marketplace, which is now at full capacity, and the next one I'm hoping starts right over here. So once you have your woodcutter's lodge and your marketplace, they'll then start opening up stalls there, and once they open up stalls, they distribute the firewood to the residential homes. As when you click on here, it'll say that distributes all types of fuel to fulfill residential requirements, and that is exactly what we need. We need them to fulfill the requirements of the burgage plot. So there we have the fuel store supply. Then we need a food store supply. So for this, you'll need a granary. So you'll need to go to construction, then go to logistics, and you'll see on the left it says granary. Now granary is technically like a storage for all food things. Now once you have the granary, you want to add people or add families to the granary so that they can open up stalls. Once they open up stalls in the marketplace, they will then open up a food store, which is this thing, and you'll see that it says distributes a variety of food to fulfill residential requirements. Now, depending on the food that you're gathering, so I have a rich berry deposit here, so that is only one type of food, but you can also have the hunting over here. So if you go there, then you can also get your meat. So that's two different types of foods. But what I've done to increase my food output or my different types of food is I've gone to my trading post and I've just been trading with food. So as you can see here, I'm importing all different types of food, but I'll get to that later. But for now, we're just trying to level up your burgage plot to level 2. So now that we understand the food store supply, which requires the granary and obviously two different types of food types, as you see here, type 1 of food and two types of food. So at the moment, if you're starting, it should probably be berries and then hunting for meat. So those will be your two types of food. Once you have your two types of food, you'll need a clothing store supply. What you'll need for a clothing store supply is either linen, leather, or yarn. Now I'm going to explain to you the easiest way to get the clothes store supply. Now what you want to do is, obviously if you're starting, it's going to be hard to get it to level 2, so you want to create a goat shed in your backyard extension. This provides a passive yield of hides, which can then be turned into leather if you create the tannery. So if you have the goat farm, let's say you make multiple houses and you're dedicating them all to goats farms or goat sheds, whatever you want to call it, you need to make a tannery, which is right over here. And once you make that tannery, you need to assign a family member to it or a family to it. And obviously, if you have your market, they will then go to the market, create their clothing store, and then they'll distribute leather to the families, and that is the clothing store supply. Once your burgage plot is level 2, you'll see that there will become new requirements. So it'll now say that you'll need a church level 2. So in order to get your church to level 2, you'll need 5 timber, 20 rocks, 10 planks, and 10 roof tiles. Now, in order to make roof tiles, you'll need clay, but if you're not by a clay deposit, you can always just import the clay from the trading post, which is what I've done. Or if you do have a rich clay deposit, you can put down your mining pit, which can be found under mining, and then it's right here, mining pit. Then what you'll need in order to actually turn that into clay is you'll need a clay furnace. So once you have your mining pit and your clay, you need to make a clay furnace and place it somewhere nearby, and you obviously need someone, a family, manning the clay furnace in order to create the roof tiles. But once you either get the roof tiles through the trading post or through actually crafting it, you can then go ahead and upgrade your wooden church into a stone church. Now that will be the church level 2 requirement right over there. Then you'll need a tavern supply. In order to create the tavern, you'll go residential and you'll see the beer over here. You'll need to create this tavern. Here's my tavern right over here, and you'll need to man the tavern so that they can actually distribute the ale. Once you have created the tavern, you'll need ale, or you'll need barley or malt, sorry, in order to actually craft the ale. Now what I've done is I've actually just traded for malt, because in this game farming through crops is actually quite difficult and it takes a long time, and I found that actually trading the resources to craft beer is a lot easier. So if you do want to craft beer yourself, what you'll need to do is make a farm dedicated to barley, and once the barley is processed, you can then turn it into malt, and then your malt into ale. In order to actually process the barley, you'll need a farmhouse, and you'll need to put a family on the farmhouse so that they can go onto the field, plow the fields and whatnot in order to get that malt. But once you have the malt, you can then go down to industry, and you'll see that there's a malt house which turns the barley into malt. Once you have the malt house, you'll then need to create a brewery extension for your backyard extension. Now, if you have already made a backyard extension, for example, let's say vegetables, you can remove it by going down to this red icon right over here and then just clicking there, and then you can construct a new backyard extension. As you'll see, we'll need a brewery extension to turn the malt into ale, and that requires 5 regional wealth and 5 planks. Now obviously, in order to get those planks, you'll need a saw pit which turns logs into planks essentially. So I'll show you here. Here's my brewery extension. So once you have crafted your brewery extension, you have your barley farm and you have your malt house, it will automatically just start creating the ale. If that doesn't work for you, then you can always just go to the trading post and either buy ale or just buy malt. But once you have that, you can then make your tavern, and your tavern will have supply. Then for the fuel store, obviously we just need the woodcutters lodge to be manned, and they'll automatically make their firewood store on the market. And then for the food store supply, like I said, if you have a berry deposit, that will be one. If you have meat, that will be another. The apples and vegetables will be their own type of food as well, so that is technically 4 foods: meat, berries, vegetables, and apples. And then for the clothing store supply, you'll just need 1 of each type. So as you can see, you'll either need 1 linen leather yarn, or you'll need 1 shoe clothes. Now, if you want to make shoes, you'll need to do another backyard extension for your level 2. So if we go here and we go to our backyard extension, you'll need to make shoes. Now, it will require 5 regional wealth and 5 planks. But once you have that, you can go ahead and start crafting shoes. So for your clothing store supply, shoes might be harder to come by. Leather, obviously we know we can just make goat farms and they'll automatically create leather passively. But now for shoes, what you'll need to do is once you have your Bourgage plot to level 2, you'll need to then craft the Cobbler's Workshop backyard extension, which requires 5 planks and 5 regional wealth. Once you have that and you build the Cobbler's extension, what you'll then need is obviously the leather, and the way you get the leather is by having your Bourgage plot have a goat shed backyard extension. So you kind of need to have various different types of backyard extensions for the others. So the formula would probably then be to have a few goat shed extensions on your Bourgage plots, and then have a few cobbler workshops, or maybe 1 or 2. And what will happen is once you obviously have your storage house, it will store all those shoes in the storage house, and if you man the storage house, they will then create their own markets, and then they'll distribute the shoes to the rest of the village, if that makes sense. Now once you have your 25 regional wealth, your 4 timber, 8 planks, and your roof tiles, and you've now completed all the fulfillment of the residents, you can then upgrade your building to a level 3. Be careful not to increase the level of your Bourgage plots too fast. If you increase the Bourgage plot levels too fast, they'll consume more fuel and goods than you can produce, so it's good to do it over time. Now once you upgrade your house to Bourgage plot level 3, you'll see that there'll be more requirements. Obviously you need to fulfill the requirements here, because if you don't fulfill the requirements, the village approval will also go down, because the lower the village approval, the less people will want to move into the village, and the less people that will occupy your houses. Because as you'll notice that when you play, sometimes they don't occupy your houses. Even though you'll have quite a few houses available, they won't always occupy them. I would recommend starting them all at level 1, and then when you have enough resources and fuel, then you can start slowly upgrading them over time. So you'll see here that once we've reached level 3 on our Bourgage plot, we are able to have 4 families now, and that's 2 regional wealth per family. So that's going to give us 8 in total. So that's going to give us 4. But as you can see there, now we have full supply. It is a Bourgage Plot level 3. But yeah guys, that's everything you need to know about Bourgage Plots. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It's been Zach from the Con channel, and thank you for watching.